After analyzing hundreds of guest reviews and digging through figures that MGM likely hopes you never see, I have uncovered a troubling reality. This truth concerns one of Las Vegas's last great independent icons. Let us turn back the clock to the day the Cosmopolitan opened. It was not just a building, it was a statement against the boring corporate norm. It offered rare private balconies, breathing life into the Strip. This was an amenity the bean counters usually hate. It was home to the Chandelier Bar, a crystal centerpiece where the cocktails were art, not just overpriced sugar water. The atmosphere was distinct, refined, and respected you. However, a quiet betrayal is underway. Loyal guests returning to the Cosmopolitan are encountering a jarring shift. The attentive service that once made you feel valued is now drawing complaints of indifference. The luxurious touches are fading. They are being replaced by cost-cutting measures. That distinct soul appears to be surrendering to a colder, calculated industrialization. So how is an icon of luxury dangerously close to becoming just another overpriced corporate trap? This is not random bad luck. It is the result of a deliberate strategy where spreadsheet margins are prioritized over your memories. If you have ever appreciated the unique character of the Cosmo or simply refused to pay luxury prices for a budget experience, stay with me. We are going to uncover the real story behind those glamorous doors. To understand just how far the Cosmopolitan has fallen, we first need to look at the height from which it tumbled. We must revisit the golden age. This was before the corporate machine of MGM swallowed it whole. The story properly begins in 2014. That was when Blackstone purchased the struggling property for $1.7 billion. In a city addicted to cutting corners, Blackstone did the opposite. They did not tighten the belt. They doubled down. They poured another $500 million into a complete overhaul. They believed in a principle that seems to be dying in Las Vegas. If you build a premium experience, the profits will follow. And they were right. The Cosmos' distinction was not just in the hardware. It was not just those rare balconies overlooking the Bellagio fountains. It was in the software. It was the service. Employees were empowered to make you feel like a guest, not a walking ATM. This experience-first philosophy turned a struggling hotel into a cash printing machine. When Blackstone finally sold the property, the deal was valued at $5.65 billion. They walked away with a $4.1 billion profit. It was the most profitable single asset sale in their history. It was undeniable proof that quality pays. But the real heart of this story is not on a balance sheet. In May 2022, right before handing the keys to MGM, Blackstone did something unheard of in modern corporate America. They held a town hall. They surprised over 5,000 employees with a $5,000 bonus each. There were tears in that room. It was a rare moment of dignity and respect for the working staff who actually built the legend. MGM was handed a Ferrari in perfect condition. It was fueled by a loyal staff and a loving customer base. All they had to do was not crash it. But as we are about to see, they decided to strip it for parts instead. When MGM officially took the reins, the corporate PR machine went into overdrive. CEO Bill Hornbuckle stood before investors and promised to make the brand even greater. The financial reports were glossy. The revenue figures were up. And on Wall Street, everything looked perfect. But there is a truth that never makes it into a quarterly earnings call. The reality on the ground. To be fair, the Cosmopolitan still holds high ratings on the big booking sites. But if you stop looking at the averages and start reading the actual stories from loyal guests in 2024 and 2025, a disturbing pattern emerges. The cracks are not just forming. They are widening into three distinct warning signs of corporate neglect. Warning sign number 1, the service collapse. This is the most painful cut for longtime visitors. The Cosmo used to be defined by speed and attentiveness. Now, it is defined by the line. Guests are reporting exhaustive waits just to check in. This is a clear sign of understaffed front desks. The bars, once the beating heart of the property, are struggling. Why? Because there are not enough bartenders scheduled to pour the drinks. Housekeeping, once meticulous, has become hit or miss. Rooms are sometimes cleaned superficially or skipped entirely. It feels less like hospitality and more like processing cattle. Warning sign number 2, the cheapening of the experience. MGM seems intent on stripping away the luxury while keeping the luxury price tag. The most symbolic change? The disappearance of the individual premium toiletries. They are replaced by those industrial, wall-mounted bulk dispensers. You would expect these at a roadside motel, not a five-star resort. They claim it is sustainability, but we know it is cost-cutting. Similarly, the in-room iPads are vanishing. These were the signature touch that lets you control your room's environment. These details matter. When you remove them, you are not saving the planet. You are telling your high-paying guests that they are no longer worth the extra expense. Warning sign number 3, infrastructure neglect. Nothing kills a luxury vibe faster than a broken elevator. In the Chelsea Tower, this has become a chronic issue. A steady stream of guests report elevators frequently out of service. This leads to frustrating waits in a high-rise tower. This is not just an inconvenience. It is a failure of maintenance. One longtime guest summed it up perfectly on a forum. The experience is becoming MGM mid-range, but the price is still Cosmopolitan luxury, and that is the core of the problem. When you pay a premium but receive a budget experience, that is not just bad business. It is an insult. I have to ask, have you personally felt this shift at the Cosmopolitan? Or have you noticed the MGM effect taking over other Vegas properties? Tell me your story in the comments. I read them all. To understand why the Cosmopolitan is losing its soul so quickly, you have to look at the ink on the contract. It is a bad deal for the guest from day one. Here is the reality. MGM does not actually own the building. They paid $1.6 billion just for the right to run the casino. The actual bricks and mortar sold to a group of investors for over $4 billion, and immediately MGM signed a lease to rent that building back for $200 million a year. Let that sink in. That is over $500,000 due in rent every single morning before the first slot machine even spins. That is a crushing weight. And to pay that landlord while still squeezing out a profit for shareholders, the suits at MGM only have one playbook: cut, slash, and standardize. This is where the infamous MGM touch destroys the magic. First, they attack loyalty. MGM is a machine, and machines hate exceptions. The Cosmos Identity Program, which actually made you feel like a VIP, was scrapped. It was swallowed whole by MGM Rewards, a system notorious for being stingy, complicated, and designed to give you less for playing more. To the executives, this was integration. To the loyal customers who built this place, it was a slap in the face. Then came the labor cuts. This is the oldest trick in the corporate handbook. In a luxury resort, the people are the product. But when MGM looked at the spreadsheet, they did not see concierge or housekeepers. They saw labor costs to be trimmed. The result? The check-in line now looks like the DMV. The bartenders are overworked. The housekeepers are stretched thin. And that personalized "we know your name" service has vanished. The boutique feel is gone, replaced by the cold efficiency of an assembly line. Even the small dignities like quality shampoo bottles were swapped for bulk dispensers mounted on the wall. Every tiny detail is now weighed, measured, and cheapened. This is a clash of philosophies. Blackstone understood that if you treat people like royalty, they spend like royalty. MGM operates on cold math. They believe they can cut their way to prosperity. By forcing a unique, vibrant property into a cookie-cutter corporate mold just to pay the rent, they are erasing the very thing that made the Cosmopolitan worth visiting. They are turning it into just another MGM hotel, generic, crowded, and soulless. Only this one happens to have balconies. When you strip away the character of an icon to feed the landlord, all you have left is an expensive shell. So, what is the final verdict on the Cosmopolitan under MGM? It is a textbook case of what happens when a spreadsheet goes to war with a soul. MGM pulled off a shrewd financial move to seize a trophy asset, but the price of that deal is an unrelenting pressure to cut, cut, and cut. The standardization machine is running full tilt. The result is not an evolution, it is MGMification. They are taking a unique, rebellious brand. They are filing down its edges until it fits neatly, into their corporate supply chain. We are not seeing a collapse. Not yet. The building is still standing. The location is still prime. And those balconies are still the best on the strip. But the magic? That is evaporating. In their desperate race to efficiency, MGM is stripping away the very reasons people paid a premium to stay here. The distinct vibe, the personalized touch, the feeling that you were somewhere different. It is a dangerous gamble. Once the loyal regulars realize they are paying Lamborghini prices, for a Toyota experience, they will walk. And MGM will be left with a beautiful, very expensive shell, forced to fight for scraps with every other generic resort on the boulevard. This is not just about one hotel. It is the story of modern Vegas. The era of the independent visionary is dead, replaced by the era of the corporate landlord. The sense of adventure is being suffocated by calculated efficiency. The Wild West has become a strip mall. If you are planning a trip and want to know exactly what this new Vegas is going to cost you, watch our next breakdown. We will cover the real budget for a 3-day trip. And if you appreciate honest talk about where your money really goes, join us.